All right, guys, this is Wild Philosophy. Let's get wild. We are here today with Nick Emeka. Nick Emeka. I keep thinking it's a Lemka for some reason, but Nick.
Because I look fucking Polish.
Yeah. So yeah, man, dude, it's this has been a wild week for me. I always start off with you got any wild shit happen to you in the past 2 weeks?
Any 2 weeks.
Oh, you know what? Here, I put this down just here, just so we can see your beautiful face. You know,
Thank
there
you.
you go. Yeah. Yeah, what's going on?
What's going on? God, last week I got fucking notified I'm doing the Blue Whale Comedy Festival in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I can
awesome.
go out there.
Yeah.
And I'm opening for Casey Rocket, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. Fuck. How did you just sent in a clip and?
Yeah. I met one of the guys who's kind of a bigger deal in the Tulsa scene.
Yeah.
When I went out there with my girlfriend, now fiance, to
Is that
play
the
a
girl
show.
that goes with you everywhere with the guitar?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations! When you
Thank
guys
you.
get engaged?
December 19th. So,
Of like recent. Oh,
yeah,
that's fucking
yeah.
awesome.
Hell yeah, thank you.
What'd you guys do? How was the wedding?
Oh, haven't had the wedding yet.
Haven't it?
No. We actually literally just started planning it because we just had a lot of crazy shit go down in the last year-ish.
Yeah.
So
any of it you want to share? No.
Oh no, it's
don't
all
have
the like depressing life shit.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
It's like, all right, let's break out the fucking Kleenex.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I you know what those festivals, I never know what's the good one. What's that like? I thought I made this whole emo post. Oh man, I'm so happy I got on the North Carolina. I still can't get it right. Greensboro, is that South Carolina?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm like, I got on the South, and I thought it was the big one, the Asheville thing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. You live, you learn. You know, fuck. Because so far, I'm not gonna say anything. Yeah,
We're gonna cut that out.
Yeah.
Just talking shit about comedy festivals
Yeah.
you want to be on.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's like I tell everybody, regardless of how it is. Similar to like I just did Iowa Fest. You know, I look at it like who the fuck was I before this? Like I was a musician and I told you I was welding for 15 years. Like I don't know what would have gotten me to go out of state and visit these states other than comedy. So it's a fun journey, you know?
Yeah. It gets you places you never would have been.
Yeah.
It is.
Or it's just me in denial justifying.
Yeah, well, like I'm gonna spend $500 to go to fucking Toledo. Great.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna just adjust this real quick. All right. Well, yeah, man. So yeah, you had any wild shit in the past 2 weeks happen?
Other than that, not much.
Not much. Just chilling.
Yeah.
Pretty cool summer. So I just got on Laugh Factory first time. I'm really fucking happy, just because I don't know that everybody says that place is a bitch to get on.
Yeah.
And I just like, you know, I had a lot of people starting out tell me, "Oh, you got to make every room laugh and all that stuff," and I agree.
Yeah.
But I do love doing the general audience, like regardless of what the reaction. If there's, "Oh my god, that's so fucked up," or
Yeah.
I think it's a good. I like that general audience. You know, it's right in Boys Town.
Yep.
And every person you can imagine goes to that crowd. You know, so
I mean, it's historic. That facility is just like the one that you see on YouTube all the time.
yeah, that background is awesome too.
It's so cool.
It's like that. It's like the sun. You know, those shades of the sun. But I was telling you before this, dude. Like I used to think asking chicks out was the worst rejection I'm gonna get, and then I turned into a man whore when I was in a band before I got married.
Uh-huh.
And then I thought comedy was the worst rejection as far as like sending out emails. Dude, I need to like not get wild at parties anymore because I asked like 40 people what they're doing for the 4th. Every single kind of like family stuff, and then like an hour later they're posting shit on Instagram where they're not with the family. They're at a very 30s part, just sit on your ass with a beer on your belly, just tame party, that I would probably be at, I don't know, looking to snort coke out of someone's ass crack, So it's just, yeah, it's been a while. Well, we ended up going to, I couldn't believe, like, I feel, how old are you?
33.
33. Okay, so it's not that far. I just turned 37. Dude, I feel so fucking old because, like, my wife and I saw this ad that Beach Boys are playing at Elk Grove Village.
Yep.
I'm like, it can't be the real Beach Boys, but it is because nobody gives a fuck about them.
They're like 100.
Yeah, they are. And what's really hilarious is John Stamos is drumming for them.
What?
Yeah.
The fuck?
I guess he tours with them, and like any song that the girls scream for him to sing, he gets up in front on the congas so that they can see him, which is pretty goofy.
Wow.
But yeah, it was fun. I don't know. Like, I think I was most pissed off because this makes me sound like a redneck, but I'm kind of like a Polish immigrant. 4th of July has always been my favorite fucking holiday. I don't know.
You got to stop shitting on people's couches.
Yeah. I got to stop shitting on. I had a story like that where I shit on someone's couch.
Well, I think you found the answer to why you got rejected 40 times.
Okay. Here's what happened. I was in a joke metal band in high school. It was this guy, Bill, who is my drummer, and this guy, Kevin, who is the bassist. And Kevin, when people when people like who can't sing, they try to force themselves to sing, like the people on the American Idol auditions.
Yeah, all the time.
It's like vibrate extra, when they try to be operatic or whatever. So Kevin was like because we were a joke metal band, we just knew how to be funny. My buddy Billy, he moved out to San Fran and he does a improv group there. Or no, he's in LA and he does an improv group. I went the stand-up route. The guy Kevin, he was never funny. He's like a fucking English professor at Northern now. Like, he was just never fun. And I remember, I never get drunk, but when I used to get drunk in my 20s, I would just be a huge asshole. And so the plan was, all right, we're gonna do this show, get wasted, and pass out at Kevin's house. I never been at Kevin's house. And I go there, and I don't even remember passing out because I drank so much. And then when I woke up, he had like 4 brothers that they lived in this house. His ma's walking across on a Sunday morning. His ma's walking across. I'm already in a bad mood because it's like they didn't turn the AC on, and it's summer, so it's like 100 degrees, and I'm on this itchy fucking like nylon couch,
Yeah.
like the kind you'd see at a Goodwill, and then his ma's walking across the room, changing her bra. She was not hot. She was like a 80s like teacher is what she looked like.
Okay.
And then the dog just took like 5 shits around me in the middle of the room. So I'm just waking up to the scent of steaming shit. And I look at my drummer, I'm like, these guys are so filthy. I bet they wouldn't even notice if I took a shit on the ground here. He's like, what do you mean, dude? And I'm like, yo, your dog shit here. They're like, yeah, we clean it up on Monday. I'm like, so you just let the dog shit all over the house?
What?
Yeah. Then
one day a week?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I'm like, it's a minefield, So yeah, I took a shit in the middle of the floor. And I was like, yeah, he went again. They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll clean it up tomorrow. Yeah, so, but
wow.
Yeah. But yeah. Not much other wild shit. I don't know what else. Gonna go to a water park Sunday. Nice suburban white thing to do.
Well, so full disclosure, I had no fucking clue where you. I have no clue where Schaumburg is. So,
Yeah.
So I just like I thought it was just north of the city.
Yeah.
I did not realize that it's like an hour
West
of the city. So I started heading north. We
Yeah.
are in suburbia, so that's part of the course.
Schaumburg is fucking weird. Like, it's still Cook County, and even like Rogan has bitched about it on his podcast that the Chicago Improv is here in Schaumburg.
What the fuck?
Because it's Cook County. So these comedians, they'll get like a hotel downtown, but then have to drive all the way out here.
Damn.
Yeah. So last time I was at it, it's a nice place, the Improv. I mean, I seen Jeff Ross there, seen Josh Blue, the cerebral palsy guy. I see John Lovitz there. Not that amazing at stand up, just. But dude, what hat is that? It looks cool
It's
as
a
fuck.
jiu-jitsu hat.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it.
Kings. Yeah. Got it at Worlds. The last Worlds I did.
Nice.
Before.
So let's talk about jiu-jitsu. You've been doing jiu-jitsu. Well, how long have you been doing stand up for?
A year and 9 months.
Year and 9 months. And I got to say, most people know me. I say mean shit cuz I'm blunt. I don't kiss people. You have made me laugh my ass off the most seeing your set. I'm telling you. Like, you're one of my favorite comedians in Chicago. You guys got to check this guy out. Because I was just like, I don't know, man. When I'm in Chicago, I kind of hear the same topics,
Yeah.
same shit. And then there's just like, you just have an odd, quirky, like, look at it. You know what it's like? It reminds me of, when you have the hang before open mic, where you're just chilling and shitting on each other in a circle. I have told people, yo, guys, just fucking do an impression of me. And they're like, no, there's only one wild. That's what I'm saying. Like, where you're so unique, it'd be hard to fucking, mimic or something,
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I just kind of, I don't like talking about the shit that everybody kind of winds up talking about, and especially early on in stand-up where it's like, oh, I'm going to tell you about a feature of myself. It just feels so freaking overplayed to me. Like, I like doing stuff that's, well, at first, you start out, you kind of like shocking people a little bit, and that's always been kind of fun.
Yeah.
But then just kind of digging into the topics that, especially like when I first started comedy, were kind of like involved in my life that were like darker and weirder, and so like it was a lot of like, how do I process this? And then I just kind of like making up stupid shit, just freaking talking about fucking bestiality and I don't know, like I don't know if you had this where, like, I had the early internet before people realized how much, like, disgusting shit was on there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, like, when I was 11, my best friend showed me gore.com.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, all of these, like, horrific photos of people just, like, just murder scenes. And,
Yeah.
It was 11, and I was just like trying to process this, and it just felt so normal to be seeing weird shit all the time. I feel like that probably played into how I look at the world.
Yeah. Do you remember Rotten.com?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was like everybody told me about Faces of Death, but I remember Rotten was my thing. You know what I used to tell people, dude? So like, because I've had people tell me like, oh man, they'd say we're like edgelord shit or like troll shit. I'm like, dude, I've been a troll before people said it was a troll. Because you know what I did. You remember all the file sharing like LimeWire and Kazaa and all that, dude. So I was like, I'd say what, 8th grade. Like every dude in 8th grade, we're looking up porn, and it takes 15 minutes to fucking download one picture back then with 56K,
Yep.
And dude, I remember being on those file sharing sites, and there was so much like fucked up like pedophilia titles, you know?
Yeah.
Just like 12-year-old spreads eagle or some shit, you know?
Ooh.
And so what I did as a troll is I downloaded all these pictures from rotten.com and then named them like 10-year-old getting fucked in the ass. And I'd get all these death threats from pedophiles because they're sitting at the screen ready to beat off. And then, you know, like whatever, guy jumping off a building, you know, and turned into hamburger meat. Like, and then after that, I took it a little further where I was trolling people who didn't deserve to be trolled. Like, I don't know, like everybody was downloading Titanic.
Yeah.
But instead, I just looped 2 Girls, 1 Cup and then renamed it Titanic.
I think I saw that thing. Hell yeah.
But yeah, so you, is there, I mean, who did you, I always ask, like, what were your, like, top 3 influences?
I guess, you know, Anthony Jeselnik is always kind of the one that I see as kind of, he does a lot of setup work, and he just the way that he thinks about punchlines, I've always thought that was really cool. But then I really like the like quick hits of like Jimmy Carr, where you're, you know, rapid fire. Every joke is like less than a minute, and that kind of stuff just always stuck out to me. Like early, I always watched Louis C.K. and Louis Black and Chris Rock and like literally anything that was on Comedy Central or HBO at night. It was just like I'd watch everything, you know?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I didn't even really think about going into stand-up until a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I feel like anybody who, if you can handle jujitsu, you can handle comedy, is how I feel, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because people are so afraid of bombing, and it's like I went out on a mat and was like, oh well, I could come home like with like a torn ACL, like somebody could physically kill me.
Yeah,
you know, and granted the chances are small, but like there's a lot lower consequences to bombing on a fucking stage.
Yeah. I've always told people, you know, I think the further you go and kind of the more you like learn about yourself, and I always liked that, like that dark aspect, like you said, like Anthony Jeselnik, or even like somebody who doesn't get mentioned enough is like Artie Lang, you know?
Oh yeah, he kills.
Like I love that because it's sort of like you're taking the fucked up shit that happened to you or that you've witnessed, and you're making it into a laugh, you know? And I've actually, I mean, I probably even should have mentioned it, but I got into it with my brother because I always say, like, you know, I mean, I'll just share it, but it's just like my brother and I had a completely different experience with my mom. I looked like her abuser, which was her dad. So she fucking hated me. She was like off. I mean, I've said it at a bunch of places. You know, she'd like tell people that I'm faking epilepsy for attention, and then like take my pills. You know,
Jesus,
and a bunch of stuff. You know, like she'd go out with these boyfriends who would fight me, but she'd choose their side type stuff.
Eesh.
Well, my brother, she was like treated him like a king. You know, and so recently, I was showing one of my, you know, Brian and Alan. I was like showing them, like, you know, people don't realize. You see, whoever's your favorite. My favorite is like Louis C.K. You see like a Louis C.K. hour, or whoever the fuck is your favorite. You see a special on Netflix. It's like 45 to an hour. That took, I would say, average 2 years to make. You know, because I would say it probably takes, if you're really good, it probably takes like 3 to 6 months to get like 15 minutes on one topic, you know? And so I have like a half hour just shitting on my mom that I never really was able to do because my brother would go to my shows and stuff. And I try to explain to him, I'm like, dude, This is my truth. This is my experience.
Yeah.
Don't support me. Don't go to my shows. I have to do this. You know? And he understood, and we're on good terms and everything. But yeah, that's the kind of what I was saying is like you take the dark aspects of your life. This is your coping mechanism. You know?
Yeah. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
So have you put out that half hour on your mom?
No. I actually the first time that I even did it to where it was recorded was at Laugh Factory. Because I was talking to Alan and Brian. I'm like, dude, what do you know? And Alan and Brian, I like them because I just met them maybe a year ago, but we're like at the same level comedically, and we also have a similar style. So, it's sort of like when you'd ask people for advice, like, yo, was that good? Do you think I should change that up? I trust them because they will tell me like, oh man, that was a little cringe. Like that's more vulgar than funny. And one thing that Alan told me is like, dude, you got to fucking do that because that thing is funny. Bring your A game to Laugh Factory because how many more weeks are you going to go in that bucket where, you can't do it. So I brought it, and other than like one joke that was too much, the audience responded really well. Like, so yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in, Albany, California. So like a suburb of Berkeley. And then,
where's that? Like
Northern California.
Northern. Okay.
Yeah.
How far is that from like LA and San Fran?
It's like, 45 minutes from San Francisco and like 6 hours from LA.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up there, and then as soon as I could, I moved to Arizona and went to U of A.
Is there a reason you want just to go to the school?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get out and sort of experience the world for myself. I was really socially anxious in high school and really shy, and college was just kind of an opportunity to get out of my bubble and shell and become my own person and I like to think that my life is a series of steps of like pushing myself off ledges and seeing if I respond well or not. So like moving 800 miles away from your parents is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Well, anyone so that was fun.
Is all of your family still there?
Not all my family kind of dispersed across the country, but my parents are still in Northern California, and I'm trying to get them out here.
Yeah,
because I want to look over them because they're getting old.
Yeah. Are you guys close?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and so how was like the whole experience in Arizona? Did you like that shit?
Yeah, I mean, so U of A is, at the time, was the #1 party school in the country.
Yeah.
And I had the experience of going there for my, so it was the day that I was getting dropped off. It was like August, like 90 degrees. We were driving down into the like main area, and there's just like 2 rows of sorority girls lined up outside, just gorgeous women, and I'm like, Dad, I think you could drop me off here. I'll be good.
Yeah. I hated Eastern Illinois, where I went to Eastern. Like, I think I was telling you on the way here. Like my experience was like the neighborhood I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in like, I guess they call it Dunning, but I didn't even know that until like 10 years after I moved out. But it was all like you were either passed on from mafia like family and just doing legit business, or you're like union, or you're a cop. That's what everybody. So I was like the minority, like the dumb Polak that everybody called. Like,
jeez.
So yeah, and I kept getting told by everybody, they're just like, dude, you ain't fucking mafia, so get in the union, unless you want to be a cop, And a funny thing is, I have like a really liberal firefighter friend. He's like, "Yeah, dude, you seem like you'd be a cop," and I'm like, "Thank you." Yeah, like, so, but yeah, I just so I really try to get in the union and everything, but my ma was like, "You can like literally." I came home one day and all the locks were changed. My fucking clothes were scattered on the front lawn, and she's like, "You better go to fucking school, or you're on the street with your clothes." So she sent me to Eastern, and like I tried getting into UIC, and then that like everybody kind of like goes through those motions of like there's UIC, then there's like University of Illinois, and if you don't make it there, then you try Northwestern, and if you don't make it there, you try Eastern.
Damn.
And if you don't make it there, you go to Northern, and then everybody always like Northeastern is kind of the shithole. Like it's kind of like the DeVry of universities.
Oof.
So everybody kind of goes there because they just accept everybody. But yeah, I did not like. I always tell people on here that Eastern was like coming from the city where I would go to punk shows, house parties, keggers. Eastern was just like, it reminds me of like the movie Son-in-Law, where they got this barn and then there's just cornfields. That's what Eastern was. It was just fucking, here's this university and then just children of the corn, like all around. And I remember it was so boring that I lived in a dorm where like everybody kind of like partied in the guy's room who was the alpha of that group. So it was like all the black basketball guys chilled in the best basketball players' room and they partied there. All the football players. I was kind of with all the stoners, the hacky sack crew,
Yes.
you know?
Crunchy.
Yeah. And I remember it was so fucking boring that one of the football guys goes, "Yo, man, you going to the show?" I'm like, "What show?" He goes, "You didn't hear who was in town?" I'm like, "No, who?" For some reason, R. Kelly was playing a show there. I'm like, "No, I'm not going to see R. Kelly." So,
Well, you've been vindicated.
yeah. Yeah, dude, that was, yeah. I did not. I ended up like dropping out like junior year, coming back here, and then I did like this accelerated program where you like finish off a year in 3 months, but you have a final like every Friday.
Jesus.
But I was glad to get that over with. But so you when did you start stand up in Arizona?
Yep. In Phoenix.
What was the name, like your first mic?
First mic. So I did a class at JP's Comedy Club in Gilbert, Arizona.
Cool.
Shout
I
out.
have no problem with classes. A lot of people shit on it.
I know. Well, so yeah, and I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It definitely gets you realizing, there's some sort of depth to this that you can kind of like you can study it a little bit.
Yeah.
But like we talked about off the mic, this is so personal that there's after the first fucking 4 weeks, you're any input from a teacher is just gonna lead you astray because you're depending on their sense of humor instead of your own.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like a single mother thing, but I kind of was always like codependent, like whoever the fuck, whoever I was with. Like I always say this, like I started out at this place called Jerks at Josephine's in Villa Park. It's a suburban mic, and there's this guy, like one of the first people I met was like Dan McCarty, and I used to drive him nuts because every time I did, "Yo, man, did I do good? Which part did you like best?" He's like, "Dude, I'm trying to focus on my shit."
Yeah.
And one of my buddies in comedy is Kyle Allen. I don't know if you know who that is, but he kind of told me, he's like, "Yeah, dude, that's the flaw of classes is that you kind of end up relying on that input." But it's still kind of, I think it's good to see all of it, like try everything once,
I think there is something to be gained with just like understanding joke structure and getting up and having like uninterrupted feedback.
Yeah.
But there's just so many grifters in the fucking comedy class scene. There's so many people that. So I'm not gonna name names, but I was at a mic in a different state, and the local comedy club had a class that met on Mondays, and I guess for one of the like weeks they had a class field trip to the local open mic that I was at, and and so like the host was like had gotten paid by this dude, so he was like putting them up in between the actual comics, and you could tell because it was like these people are all fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And then
the people in the class or the
so the people in the class were dog water.
Yeah.
And then the teacher goes up and just is the hackiest set I've ever. It's just like a 1960s stand up on like the Ben Carson show, like broads, kind of shit. You know, like it was so
man,
bad.
That's my set. Come on.
My bad. I'm blowing up your spot.
No, I had a similar situation. Like, what made me want to try is I had a best friend that I had a falling out with who did comedy, and he was kind of trying to push me into it. And then, like I had this like psychedelic alternative band, and there was this booker that I will shit on to my fucking grave. It's so funny because like comedians are able to laugh at themselves, but musicians are sensitive as fuck. So all the musicians in Chicago are like, he's such a glue of the DIY Chicago. He's full of shit. There's this guy, I'm not even going to name him, but he's this old retired boomer who he's one of those people who like, oh, I'm all about free love and being a hippie and being part of the art scene. But after I've been part of the corporate world for 60 years and in my retirement, And so he would book all these people that had no fucking like place being booked together. So what happened is he booked I told you I like Oasis. That's the kind of music we play. So picture a band that sounds like Oasis, okay? Here was the lineup. The headliner was like a hardcore hate breed type band. Like, take your fucking vitamins,
Yeah.
And then we're in the middle, this Oasis type band, and then the opener was literally a 70-year-old guy dressed up in a smiley face mascot outfit doing word for word Rodney Dangerfield bits. And I saw him do it. I'm just like, I could fucking do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the moment. That's when you're like, if this person has the confidence to walk off that stage going, I fucking killed this.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it.
Yeah. So that was what got me in. But so you said, and it's funny how you said like there's all these like grifters about there's a lot of I feel grateful that like Chris Higgins was my teacher.
Yeah.
Like an actual successful comedian who's touring that people like.
Yeah.
That can show like, hey, I'm your teacher. And I actually can't be here for every class because I'm on a fucking U.S. tour.
Yeah.
Rather than there's so many teachers who are like, I failed in comedy. Then I tried being a producer, but I can't handle the stress.
Yep.
So now I'm a teacher. I'm going to teach you all the things that I've learned,
Yeah.
Is that the kind of teacher you had as at Arizona?
Perhaps. It's one of those things where like I feel like if you get a teacher that's actually not 80 years old, you know they're actually still doing comedy. You're like, all right, well this guy's good.
Yeah.
But if you see them and their name's nowhere on any show in any part of the town, you're like, so you don't even do like some shows.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the I think a good rule of thumb,
Do you remember did you do well?
Yeah, my first show, I did well. I mean, fucking bringer shows. I had like 11 people there and they were dying. I mean, it was a good show.
Yeah.
I will say, but I looked back at the video not that long ago and I was like, God, was fucking terrible. But I was so confident, like, coming out of it, because I was like, you know, your first show, you get laughs. People, like, actually enjoy themselves. You feel like you accomplished the goal of stand-up, which is to make people laugh hard and a lot, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that carried me, and it was weird so after that, I kind of realized I didn't really need to do the class anymore, and I just started doing open mics. And like the first 3 months of mics, I didn't get on a single show, and then I realized you got to start asking. You know, you got to start, you know, making relationships. And by the end of the first year, I'd done, I think, 47 shows.
Yeah.
In Phoenix, and that was one of those moments where I was like, oh, you make relationships, you always bring your A game, and people will realize, you know, you just got to focus on what you can control.
That's awesome. Did you while you were in Arizona, did you like open for anybody that like you look up to that like?
Yeah, I opened for or featured for Eleanor Kerrigan, who's a national touring act out of Philly. She was Andrew Dice Clay's feature for like 20 years. Yeah, she was cool as fuck. So that was like the week that we were that I got engaged. The 3 days beforehand is when I did the feature weekend feature, and then we got engaged, and then we moved to Detroit.
Oh, nice.
So
how would you like, what was, do you think, the difference between like maybe like material, or like do you think you're like, did you have to up your A game moving, you know, east or northeast?
So
like are people in Arizona more like, I don't know, some kind of like clean or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. So I would say there's like, Phoenix can kind of be cut into like 3 camps. There's like the west side, which is like conservative, mix between like blue collar white people and Latinos, and they it's much cleaner scene. The sort of central Phoenix, which is more liberal, but then there's a lot of like business stuff that can kind of be like a mixed bag, kind of like the Laugh Factory, where it's like every kind of person's there. And then like I guess 4 parts. The north side is a lot of like upper class, like rich folks, and so you're no matter what, if they don't like something, their arms immediately start to cross, and you see their lips pucker, and you're like, that's okay, I lost them, whatever. And then the east side is just like, that's straight Trump's America. So you learn to play to each crowd, kind of like, if they're younger, you can do more sex stuff, and if they're older and more conservative, you do more violent stuff. You do more stuff about like not necrophilia, but like, you know, taking somebody hostage. You know, they like that shit.
No, that's funny because like the show we did. So I met you at Lincoln Lodge doing Jim Balderston's show. Shout out to him at Adapt. You know, and I thought it was funny because like, I'll be perfectly honest, like I wasn't prepared at all because Jim kind of told me like, you know, you're gonna have to improvise, so you don't really have to. Like you still got to bring your set and incorporate it, but I just kind of didn't go prepared, so I just said shit off the fucking cuff, you know? And I think it's funny that in Lincoln Lodge, I did hear somebody go, "Oh my God." And it was for the wrong reason, because it's so fucked up. But then like I've done shows where I there's Tony Carr, he's fucking great. He he books shows in Illinois. He doesn't do shows as much, but for some reason he's got it in with Maggiano's, the restaurant.
Okay.
It's like one step. Actually, it's like, I should say 10 steps higher than Olive Garden.
Okay.
And I've done shows there, and I just hear people go, "Oh my God, we can still say that?" Because it's just old like white racist people,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once they say that, that's when I go into the stuff that makes them want to be sick and not eat their spaghetti. But yeah, it's funny. I have to judge it by how they say the "oh my God."
Yeah. Yeah. They're either with you or they're against you.
Yeah, yeah. But did you were telling me about, like, I want to hear about, like, you had this injury that made you stop doing jiu-jitsu. Do you want to talk about that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't I don't know how to say this. It's been a mixed bag because I stopped competing at jiu-jitsu because I got hit by a semi-truck, which led me to doing stand-up.
Yeah.
So, and it also led me to moving out here. So I wouldn't be here if I weren't, if
Dude,
that hadn't happened.
The more head injuries, the funnier you are. That's what I hear. And, like,
Yeah.
I was just a guy who liked to get into fights when I was an asshole in the 20s, just being in the punk and shit.
Mm.
When I was at Eastern, I was like, oh, I should go on the rugby team, because I was into, like, like that British anti-racist skinhead oi, And I'm like, oh, they play rugby, and they recommended me off the team because I got 3 concussions in a week. so I'm glad that I'm not like, I mean, one more concussion and I'll be, touring with Brendan Schaub. But so what happened? Like, was it a car accident? Like,
yeah. So I was stopped in traffic on the freeway. Crazy thing.
this was in Arizona?
This is in Arizona. 5 minutes before the accident, this road rage incident happened where this dude in a F-150, I guess, shot at this lady and her kid on the road, which is why there was a traffic stop on the freeway, because they like shut it down because she like swerved out of the way. She was fine, but they like had to like clear off the glass and shit. And
these are the two of the 4 aspects of Arizona: the F-150 guy with a gun,
yeah,
and the lady with the kid.
Yeah,
you got to know your audience.
Yeah, exactly. So, traffic's completely stopped, and I'm like it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just like sitting in my little Toyota Prius, and this semi truck comes it's a milk tanker truck, comes barreling around going like full speed, like 70 miles an hour.
Oh, fuck.
And I'm like looking in my rear view, and I'm like, oh, he's not slowing down. And I'm just like, the last thing I remember is just like headlights in my rearview mirror, and he hit the car behind me that like jackknifed under me and flipped my car.
Oh shit.
And I woke up at like 5 a.m, naked on a gurney, like screaming, just like testicles out.
Fuck,
like,
dude.
Just like, what's going on? I couldn't like remember anything, so I just like kept asking the doctors over and over again, like, what happened, and they're like, I don't know. Then they started ignoring me. It was probably very annoying. Yeah, so I was in the hospital for 4 days.
Fuck, man.
Got
did the person that got hit first, did they live?
No.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, so
I'm
like,
sorry, man.
Like 20 people got injured. It was bad. Yeah, so
were you the only one in your car?
Yeah. I was driving back from a first date. It was
God.
Yeah, so So
Would you wake up to a bunch of why are you ghosting me? What's your problem?
I did not. Luckily, she was pretty. I couldn't go. There wasn't a date number 2 because I was just like, it was still drooling a bit,
Yeah.
But it was, a lot of just like sitting around, taking Oxycontin and fucking
Yeah, dude.
just like wrapping. My head didn't stop bleeding for like a month and a half. Like we would have to like literally like wrap it every day because it was just like
shit.
Yeah, I just
What happened? I mean, like, did it split your head split open or?
I had like I think like 8-inch scar in the back of my head. I had microhemorrhaging in the front of my brain.
Oh fuck.
Broken ribs, like a lung contusion. Like it was surprisingly, it was like the best case scenario. Like
you were lucky.
Yeah. Like I did. It could have been much worse. It could have been much better. But it was bad enough that they were like, I had like, I want to say, like 5 months of daily headaches.
Yeah, dude, I know exactly, like, similar to what you're talking. I can very closely empathize.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it had to be like 2009, like right when I got back from school. I was working with this I was doing this flood emergency job, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those places where you didn't know when, like, you could be working 6 hours that day or 12 because you just got to get the job done. And I had this psycho fucking girlfriend. She was like, I have a bit about it, how like the way you find your true love is like the first one is like your first love, so it's all like romance shit, like where you're like, oh, everything reminds me of her, and then like the second one is like the nympho, where you guys are like a Jerry Springer couple. You fucking have nothing in common, but you fuck all the time. And then you find the balance of both. She was number 2. She was just like, we had nothing. And so she's like, where the fuck, why haven't you called me? And so I went to go visit her. Point is, it was like, I don't want to say it was the coldest winter in Chicago, but it was like, it was in the records to where there was the most black ice in the fastest amount of time. And I was turning into her, like, she lived in like this apartment with her family, and I was turning into like the private parking lot, kind of like, at these townhouses. And then when I was going out, I'm like looking ahead of me, and there was a turn that was so sharp. It looked like a NASCAR scene, because there's this BMW, this black BMW, probably a fucking Russian, right? But just drifting at like 60 miles an hour. And I'm just like, I'm absolutely stopped because I'm trying to U-turn but not drift in the black ice.
Mm.
And he just, like you said, all I remember was just, okay, now he's 50 yards. Is he slowing down? Nope. 20 yards. Is he slowing down? Nope.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And then you wake up in the fucking, like, I woke up for a split second in the ambulance.
Yeah.
And I remember, dude, I was so scared because the neighborhood I was in, the closest hospital is in the hood. It's by fucking Maywood.
Mm.
There's Maywood, which is just like all the like black disciple gangs. Then there's like Northlake and Melrose Park, which is like, I would call it like a Latin King trailer park boys.
Nice.
And so everybody who goes to the hospital goes there because they get shot. And I remember they just strapped me to the thing because I was like, how you're saying, you're in, like, where the fuck am I? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Where? And I had to hurl so bad. Oh. And she's like, no, I ain't taking you out of there. You going crazy. You going crazy. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to fucking hurl on my stomach and you got to clean it up. And then I like swung left and right and I fell off the stretcher while I was like in the ER. And I hurled like but it was like 3 gallons of mucus.
Oh,
Because it was like I had a horrible. Basically, what happened is I had this used minivan, and the airbag didn't go off.
oh shit.
So he hit me head on with this black ice, 70 miles an hour. Car was destroyed, and I just hit my forehead on the top of the steering wheel. And I remember how you're saying I had like maybe 3 months of like the worst fucking migraine every day.
Yeah.
And the whole first month, I like didn't even want to walk to people or talk to people. I was kind of like Joe Biden, where I'm like, you know, where you're like walking in like a fucking open field and just like looking at the sky. You know?
No thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do that all the time now. You mind if I get another beer?
Yeah. I could get it for you. I got 3 PBRs. You want? How many do you want? I don't care.
I mean, I'll take 2.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get it for you.
How many guns do you have in this house? Allegedly.
I only got 1. Just like every paranoid. Oh, I didn't even realize these are twist offs. Wow.
I was wondering why it fell off so awkwardly.
Yeah. No, I only got 1 Glock after all the rioting and shit. I was like, I may as well get one, you know. But I never. You know what's funny is like, dude, I worked. This is a fucking wild ass story, but there's this logistic place in Chicago called C.H. Robinson. Do you know who? You ever hear of the comedians Winslow Dumaine? He's like a gothic type, like metalhead type. And then there's Adam Quaslow. He's like a chubbier Jewish guy. He's like always the best roaster. But I guess
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He's got like a shit ton of curly hair, and he's huge. I guess I worked with them there, and but I wasn't a comedian at the time. But it's every person desperate for a job, aka comedians, go through there. And there was a guy that I worked with there who I didn't know was shitty at first, and he tried getting me like into guns and shit. I'm positive he stormed the Capitol. I'm not joking. Like he was so fucking crazy. Like, so I was in this department where it was it was one of the most stressful departments. This is so funny because like it was the most stressful department. So white people couldn't handle it because white people would go there and they'd be like, "This is my new job. I gotta like really like show them that I could get promoted and stuff." And then like in a week, the person that I replaced had a seizure because they were so stressed out. And then the rest of the department was like all these black ladies that lived in the same neighborhood in like Bronzeville, Inglewood, like the hood of Chicago.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, man, I don't give a fuck if I get fired. So they were chill all the time.
Yeah.
And anytime another white person came through that couldn't handle it, they'd be like, "Yo, I got a job for you. Somebody just left again,"
Yep.
And I like couldn't. I tried fitting in. They'd be like, "Yo, you going to so and so's house for the barbecue?" And I'd be like, "Hell yeah, I am. You better be there." They're like, "The fuck are you saying?" Like, do not try and wedge your way in our group.
Yeah.
And so the only other person in that, like the only other white dude in that department, the only person that wasn't a black lady from that neighborhood was this white dude. And I started talking to him, and like, dude, they're always the least suspicious. He looked like he could be a fucking extra on Frasier. He wore those sweaters with the V cut.
Oh yeah.
And if it's a little too warm, he wraps it around his neck type shit. And I started talking to him, and he started like, I was like a metalhead, so I had like this battle vest with spikes and all these band names. So he thought I was like Antifa. So he kept trying to test me. He's like, "Yeah, man, we should go hunting," thinking that I wouldn't go. I'm like, "Well, what do I got to do?" He's like, "We got to get a FOID card first." I'm like, "All right, I got the FOID card. Can we go hunting?" He's like, "Well, now you got to get a hunter's card." And then I got a hunter's card, and he's like, "Man, you're kind of crazy. I don't know if I want to be in the woods with you with guns." But no, it's funny you asked like how many guns I got, but no, I only got a Glock because that riot shit. But I originally I just got a compound bow because I'm like a Skyrim nerd. I thought
That's like the weirdest. Like, I want to go archering. Oh, fuck, dude. That's hilarious.
it's those are like, it's so weird because I really got into compound bow because it was one of those things like, how do I explain it? You know how like certain comedians they only do crowd work because they're so fucking good at it.
Yeah.
Compound bow was one of those things that like I was instantly good at it, and I just and so I got into it because like I found this guy on a Facebook group. He's just like a fat union guy who every union guy's divorced because they spend all their money on themselves and then their wife leaves them. And so I went to his house and he jerry rigs a bow to your everything, to your strength, to your frame, to your height. He's just got like 3,000 bows in his basement.
I wonder why he's divorced.
And so yeah, I went there and he got me a bow for my strength and everything. And there's this archery range in it's called Blackwell Forest Preserve. It's like all year round, and like right away I'm like hitting 3 inches from the bullseye at like 50 yards. And I just like, I don't know. I haven't gone in a long ass time, but honestly, it's because, dude, I've heard people get injured. The biggest injury from the bow thing, pulling the arrows out of the fucking target, because they're so stuck. Like, I popped my thumb before, like trying to pull them out of there, because people get like, you know that what is it called, the what was that fucking, the Billy Mays guy with the black tar shit where you dip your tools in it and it coats it, whatever. You got to like dip a hammer in there so that you can claw the arrow out because it's stuck so far. But anyways, yeah, no, I know a lot of people, like, because of my comedy and shit, people think I'm like just the like absolute mullet redneck and shit, and I'm just like, dude, I'm just a Polish guy with head injuries. But yeah, so what made you when did you get into jiu-jitsu?
Right after, so I after I graduated college, I was given
What year was that?
2015.
Okay.
I didn't have a job. I was in Phoenix just trying to get anything. And I met these dudes that were doing MMA at Jamie Varner. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
He was a UFC fighter. He owned a gym that went under pretty quick because he was never there. But they were like, they trained. It was like a little fight team. And so I would try and spar, do all this stuff, and then I got a job. Came in with black eyes like a couple times, and like, you got to stop coming with black eyes. And I was like, shit. So I decided to go to a different gym and just do jiu-jitsu because I just like choking people. And,
Yeah.
And I wound up at a really good gym, Arizona Combats. Check it out if you're in Tempe. Yeah, I stuck it out there, and you know, it was pretty quickly something that I knew I was good at it.
Yeah.
I had wrestled for a long time, so I liked being in a room with sweaty men, you know.
Yeah.
Not gay. No, it is really
It is
really homoerotic.
You know, in a world that we live in today, jiu-jitsu is kind of the only last thing you can do to like get your fucking predatory man shit out. You know?
Yeah, and it's cool because there's just all types. You know, there's like engineers come in. Like, I worked at a bank. My buddy he was an electrician, and we all just choke the shit out of each other.
Yeah. You never know who you're gonna run into.
No, it's awesome. And
it feels like a good cult, you know.
Yeah, well, there's definitely having a little problem with the pedophilia, you know. But no, it's. I really like the idea of a place where you only deserve what you earn, you know.
Yeah.
And comedy's kind of like that. It's like that light, you know, because you don't have to fucking run 6 miles in the morning to be a comedian. You just have to write.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that's why I've been so in love lately. Like, comedy's the only thing that I've ever done that's had linear progress for me. Like, and I don't think it's because that's what everyone goes through. It's just like the things that I went through helped me get that linear progress. Meaning, like, you know, like I really got into, like, you know, I got into jujitsu, and at the same time I was into Taoism and Stoicism. I was meditating. I used to go to like Buddhist temples and stuff, but it was like, you know, these are things that you can do at home. You know, you don't have to go to a temple and be the only white dude there. It made me like, I liked seeing that. I liked seeing the results. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, being in a band I've played in bands since I was 15, so I'm 37 now. That's how fucking, you know, I stopped maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's almost 15 years, or, you know, somewhere. So, like, and you never see that fucking linear progress.
No, you never actually know if you're getting better.
Yeah, because you don't know. You know, it's not like it's funny. There's a scene. I forgot what movie it is. It's like a documentary on a record producer in England, but there's a scene where they show how Oasis got big, where he was going for a record. He was going to sign a deal for another band, and he goes to this bar, and he's about to sign it to this band. While he's doing this deal, Oasis is playing to fucking 3 people, and he's like, I'm not fucking giving you the deal. I'm giving these guys the deal. Who the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Those moments don't happen anymore. Like, that doesn't record, like, and that's what my band members used to get so mad. I'm like, dude, you really think you really have that fucking, like, high hope of, like, hey, you know what? We're playing in this, you know, shithole dive bar in white trash fucking suburb of Chicago. Maybe the biggest producer's just going to be in the crowd by chance, you know? I got sick of having that as my motivation, you know?
Yeah.
And also, like, being in a band, you have to fucking manage all these, like, people with all their fucking issues, you know? Like, I think I was telling you, like, this guy wants to bang underage girls. This guy wants to have free drugs. This guy wants to fucking, like, oh, I just want to have a cool band locally. I don't really want to, I'm a little scared of touring, you know?
Yeah.
And in comedy, it's like, you are your own fucking responsibility, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes it easy, especially, you know, like, even in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like, you need, and this is something that I learned pretty quickly, you need somebody else that's, like, either a little bit better than you or a little bit worse than you. Excuse me. And a culture that, like, makes you want to get better.
Yeah.
Because if nobody's trying to go anywhere, everybody's taking it half seriously, you're not going to get anywhere even if you want to. You know, you can do the extra work. And you might get better, but there's a difference between, like, above average and really good. So you have to, like, facilitate a culture within it. It takes a lot of other people you need to depend on. In comedy, you just need to do you. And there's something really nice about that.
Yeah. And how you were saying earlier, you said you got to a point where you had to reach out to get booked, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I kind of learned. I mean, jiu-jitsu, definitely, I learned the humility, you know?
Yeah.
Of, like, you don't know who's going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
You don't know what they got up their sleeve. And the humility in comedy was, I would always ask myself when I moved up, I was like, why am I getting booked above this person or this person or this person? It's like, Well, because this person is so fucking like, they got their head up so far in the clouds. They're like, I know a few people where they're just like, oh, I'm not going to do shows until people ask me to be on their shows. I'm like, good luck, bro.
You're never gonna do shows.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, like literally, people all the time. I ran into it in Phoenix all the time. It's like there's no shows in Phoenix. No, there are shows everywhere happening every week.
Yeah.
You just need to know and need to ask. And like you ask 3 times, fucking somebody's running a show once a week, they're going to run out of comics eventually. And they're going to be like, all right, well, this guy's clearly wants to be on it. You know, you just got to want it.
And you got to, like, how you were saying, like, you need a motivator of one step above or one step below you. And I always look at, like, anything that somebody is telling me, like, who the fuck is doing that? I go, you know who's doing that? That's me. Like, I've had people tell me, like, we were going to go hit up Wisconsin on Wednesday. Yeah. And people think I'm fucking crazy. And I'm like, no, that's what you do. Yeah. That's what you do. Like,
absolutely. I mean, the reason why I'm here in Chicago is because on I think it was the 22nd of February, I decided to drive from Detroit here to Chicago for open mics, which is 4.5 hours for anyone that doesn't know. And I was and I drove back the same night. So I drove in at 2:00 in the afternoon, drove back, got in at 3 a.m. I got lucky. I got on a show, a 51st jokes show at the Laugh Factory because they needed 50 comics.
In Chicago?
In Chicago, yeah, here.
Nice.
I was like looking to the left of me and the right of me, and these are like national touring comics, and I'm like, oh shit, this is where I got to be. Yeah. And so later, when we were having the conversation, I'm like, well, we don't want to be in Michigan anymore. Where do we go? Do we go to Phoenix or do we go to somewhere else? And Chicago I was like, I like Chicago. This seems pretty cool. Yeah, that's the whole reason, because I got lucky and was like, all right, I just need to get after it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You got to do, like, whenever I hear people like, oh, I wouldn't do that, I'm like, well, I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you got. Like, it's similar to, like, even like I gained a shit ton of weight from meds. And I'm like, you know, I used to like read up about, like, you know, you gotta you gotta work out one day, but then you gotta need a day for recovery. But then, and then like I realized, I'm like, I'm not even doing workouts that necessarily need recovery. I'm gonna fucking work out every day. Yeah. You know, like, why? And it's similar with comedy too. It's like, I gotta write one new joke a day, even if it's shit, even if it's like in the back of my fucking phone notes. Yeah, why not? You know. Yeah. And recently it drives my family nuts. It drives them nuts. Like, when do you turn it off? You can't turn it off. This is my fucking passion, you know. Yeah. And there's ways that, like, that's the thing too, is when people come up with excuse, like me, I'm grounded here in Schaumburg, Illinois, whatever. Yeah. You know, I got a family. I got this house.
You got cats?
Yeah, right? Don't forget about the cats, dude. Like, so it's like, and people will say, like, oh, you know, well, how are you going to fucking go above these people who are moving everywhere? For example, I remember my first open mic. I tell this story all the time, but it was like, you know, there was the whole bullshit idea of, like, women can't be funny, whatever. Yep. And when I was at this open mic, there's this girl there, Rena Calm. Have you ever heard of her?
It sounds familiar.
She's this Jewish girl from New York, like, did her, like, you know, made her nest there, like, did comedy there for 3 years, moved to Chicago, did comedy here for 3 years, and now she got one of those, like, modified Sprinter vans, and she just doesn't stop touring.
That's sick.
And I remember seeing that, and I was like, why the fuck aren't these people on Netflix? It's because Netflix wants the stupid female comedian that only talks about her pussy. You don't hear about, like, the really talented women that are out there, you know? Yeah. And that's like, I don't know. It kind of opened my mind about, you know, it's similar in the music world where you're like, why the fuck is this band still playing this local show when they could be touring or something, you know?
Well, it's everything is about marketability.
Yeah. That's the other thing that brought me the humility is I'm just like, you know, I don't have a problem with people telling me, you know, whatever, like, yo, you got to reach out to people to get booked.
Yeah.
Yo, you got to go drive overstate, or you got to tone this down. I don't have a fucking problem because you learn, you keep learning, you know,
Feedback.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, you learn that's nice about comedy is learning to know when and not when to accept the feedback that you get. Like, you are constantly getting feedback. Everybody wants to fucking comment on your jokes,
Yeah.
on who you are, on what topics you need to talk about, what funny thing happened to them on Thursday that could be a joke for your set.
Yeah.
And then you get up on stage and like the fucking audience is letting you know in real time, you know, whether or not they think it's funny.
Yeah.
But half the time it's open mics, and so half the entire audience is comics who don't give a fuck. Half the time they're on their phones. So you have to like figure out what's actually funny versus like what is a scenario that's impeding on like people actually laughing. So, you know, like I've had mics here, and this happened way less in Phoenix because people definitely took comedy less seriously than they do here, where like excuse me, people are just judging your jokes. They're not really like just taking it in real time, you know?
Yeah.
So like you get dog shit feedback sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what happened? You know what happened to me? I should share this. So I got on you know, Ronnie Ray's Hot 5 at Lincoln Lodge.
I know the Hot 5. I don't know who Ronnie Ray is, but
he's the guy who runs it, and I did it a few weeks ago, and I did really, really well. Like they really liked me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went again, and it was a kind of a last moment thing. Like I was reaching out. He's an old school guy, so he's the guy who he's not gonna respond to your Instagram message. He's gonna call you to every fucking message, you know.
Nice.
And so, like, I got caught off guard. He's like, "Oh, you want to do this Sunday, like 2 days ahead of time?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I went, and dude, I rarely ever drink.
Yeah.
Actually, my wife thinks I have a problem that I don't drink for like 3 months straight, but then when I do, I get destroyed. And like, it happened to me recently. Like, I think what I was telling you in the green room at the fucking Adapt thing.
Yeah.
Where we got a vacation canceled, and I didn't want to argue with my wife, so I finished off a fucking gallon of Carlo Rossi. And I was throwing up because I undercooked shish kebabs.
Jesus Christ.
And then I was so shit-faced. I was trying to talk everybody into playing hot potato with a dead chipmunk in a pool. So
Chicken's best medium rare right here.
So I'm at this Hot 5, and I just, you know, like I said, I rarely drink. I had a red cab, and it was so goofy because Alan was the only friend of mine that was there that like I know well.
Yeah, yeah.
And what happened is I fucking I always start off riffing on current things just to kind of get people in on like, oh, he's talking about like, you know, he's improvising, you know? And I was talking about the debate about how like Joe Biden froze up, like he's freezing up, and he's got it's a bit that I do about how like my kid told me, this is a true story, like that people don't say boomer anymore. His friends, they say lead paint stare generation. And so I was like, you guys know the lead paint stare, like just like, hey, grandpa's here, he wants a hug. And he just stares at you. I don't know if you remember like Strangers with Candy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the dad in there just like, and so like I did that, and right after I did that, I forgot the rest of my set, so I had to look at my notes. I had 8 minutes, and for a full minute, I can't think, and they're laughing because they think it's part of me doing Joe Biden.
Yeah,
it was humiliating as fuck.
Sheesh.
But anyways, I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent, but But yeah, I mean, we were just talking about how like the humility you learn from jujitsu and comedy. Like what I'm saying is like, the Tao. Like I learned this through Taoism, and that's that. Like I think I might have told you before in 2020. I mean, it was a rough year for everybody with whatever lockdown and shit.
Yeah.
My whole family died, other than my brother. 5 people in 1 year.
Jeez.
And so I went through some fucked up. I mean, what made me gain weight is my wife was worried about me. She's like, I think you should get medicated because no normal person can deal with this. I was on 8 different drugs in 2 years, like antipsychotics.
Which ones?
And if I went through,
give us a list.
Yeah, it was first was he started me off on Zoloft, then Prozac.
Okay.
Funny thing about Prozac, I'm still trying to do like when I do a psychiatric bit because there's some like 12-step shows,
Mm-hmm.
The Prozac weirdly made me overly sensitive. So like sometimes when I have the blues, I'll just watch Three Stooges, and
hell yes, hell yes, brother.
and the Prozac made me so sensitive. I'm just watching. I'm just like, why is Mo so mean? Why do they keep hitting each other?
Can't Curly just get along with the rest of them?
Yeah, like it was not for me. So yeah, it was Zoloft, Prozac. Then I moved on to Seroquel, which it was not a good experience.
Makes you sleepy, Joe.
Yeah, and then because the Seroquel fucked me up, I was asking if I could get put on lithium. And lithium's kind of old school.
That's the mood stabilizer, right?
Yeah, it's because I got misdiagnosed bipolar. I'm like, dude,
I'm bipolish.
Yeah,
hey,
yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a long ass story, but I had a corporate fucking drug dealer for a psychiatrist. He was just like, I didn't realize until I did some research that he was kind of like trying to prescribe me whatever he would get a bigger cut of the pharmaceutical thing. Like he didn't want me to go on lithium because lithium's old.
Yeah.
And you don't get that much money from. And so then he put me on what fucked me up the most was it's called Zyprexa, olanzapine.
Never heard of those words at all.
Dude, it's so fucked. I'm telling you, that was the closest I've been to like I'm gonna be locked up in an institution. Like seriously contemplating suicide because it was like what it does is like it's a long ass story. Rogan had the guy who got sued for olanzapine because what they do is it's such a long process to patent a medication.
Yeah.
That what they do is instead of repatenting it, they just they say it's for something else.
Yeah.
So like olanzapine started for strictly schizophrenics. And then they're like, oh, you know what? Well, we could also give this to people with bipolar. And then now they give it to seniors who can't sleep because it knocks you out. But it also, see, the thing that was fucked with that is if you get put on olanzapine, they make you take metformin. Because if you are on olanzapine for 5 years straight, you are guaranteed diabetes. That's why I gained so much fucking weight.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Like the way I did a little bit of research on it. Like I watched all these videos. I read all these fucking all the papers that professors try and release, on their control group experiments and all that. Basically, the drug. So how when people are depressed, they work out, and then what is it? Is it endorphins?
Yeah.
Endorphins, not serotonin.
No, that's
sleep.
thing.
Yeah. So when those endorphins get released, the endorphins get released because your body's under stress. So you're under stress from straining your muscles. So your body releases endorphins. When you take olanzapine, it wires your brain chemistry so that when you have stress, you rely on this fucking drug, and then it doesn't trigger your metabolism. So complete destroys your metabolism. Like that's when I drew the fucking line, because my psychiatrist is like, oh, you know what? Just start eating nothing but salads. And then I got a fucking second opinion, and he's like, dude, no matter what, if you're on this for 5 years, you're getting diabetes, because basically, like, the way it works is like, every single type of food has a certain type. Like this beer might have, I don't know, fucking 80 calories, 100 calories, right? But based on how you work out, there's only so much your body's going to absorb. And he was saying that when you're on this fucking med, it absorbs all the calories. It doesn't burn any of them. So anyways, Zoloft, Prozac, lithium, Zyprexa, Seroquel. Then they tried putting me on Paxil. And then finally, near the end, I was like, dude, the only thing that's ever kind of like relaxed me was Zoloft. And he took me off Zoloft because he said that if you're bipolar, you'll get manic if you're on Zoloft. And the other funny thing was my talk therapist, the one who I trust, he's the one who actually got me into Taoism and stuff. He's like, dude, I don't know if you're bipolar, but if you are, you're in a constant state of mania. So the dip is going to be scary.
Oh.
And that's what I call wild now on, The wild hasn't stopped. But yeah, I don't know. So I don't know how I got on that subject, but yeah, that's That's
the med train.
Yeah, that's the med train.
I feel it.
But you you were you said you stopped doing jiu-jitsu because like you don't want to risk having any head
I don't want
injury.
I can still train, and if I feel like I'm getting like blurred vision or anything like that, you just stop.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of a tournament,
yeah,
you're trying to murder someone's trying to murder you. Like, it doesn't work like that. So there's tens of dollars in professional jiu-jitsu. It's not a lucrative profession. And my goal was always to compete, try and get to the highest level I could, and then open a gym once I reached black belt. And in 2021, when the accident happened, I was signed up for a tournament at the time of the accident, and it was just like, all right, well, maybe I can make a comeback. And then I kind of realized the severity of the injury over time and just how much it kind of fucked me up, because I would I would get up at like 7, and then by noon I would be exhausted, and I just because just general fatigue would just
from the injury
would just I would just get knocked out. And I mean, this still happens frequently, where like if I go off of I'm on 3 different medications right now. If I go off of any of them, I will get extreme fatigue. Like, it's just something that I kind of have to live with now. So it made it really hard to.
You want to share what they are? No,
my medication. I mean, no, it's I'm on right now Wellbutrin.
That's the antidepressants, mood stabilizer that they give to people to stop smoking.
Yeah. It's also a slight stimulant. Fun fact. Cymbalta, another antidepressant, anti-anxiety, and
is it a SSRI?
No, it's a SNRI.
Okay, yeah.
I had a fun history with SSRIs. I was on Lexapro. I spiraled so hard all the time.
Did you?
It was terrible. Dude.
What do you mean by spiral? What happened?
I would just I would have like a moment, and I just like just get flooded with like negative thoughts, and I'd have like trouble sleeping, and it instead of helping, it was like my ups and downs got way worse.
Okay.
I mean, I think that like those kinds of medications, the ones that are like, you need to just let it build up in your system. Like, yeah, that's true. But also if it's not working,
Yeah.
you gotta get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I feel like psychiatrists, a lot of the time, they're just like, well, just hear me out. It could be good for you. And you're like, I feel like I'm going to claw my skin off.
Yeah.
Stop talking to me like I'm a child.
Yeah, dude, I had a moment where like I sympathized with this nut job. So like it's not even that big of the like I watched this video on YouTube where it just popped up on my algorithm from watching podcasts where Jordan Peterson's doing a talk and this guy rushed the stage and he's just screaming, "Please help me." and I'm like, that's how I feel right now. That's how I because you know what I was getting at is I was saying that what finally balanced me out was I was on this. So here's what's fucking crazy about that whole Zyprexa. You know what's actually even crazier? Before I was doing this podcast, I was doing like my old podcast and like random. I would do like Bill Burr rants. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I did a whole review of the research I did on Zyprexa, and that was my most viral video. Because there's so many fucking people that the doctors are like, "Oh, you'll be fine. Just take metformin." And then there's these fucking people who are like, "I can't step outside 2 feet outside my house because I'll faint from agoraphobia." You know,
Jesus.
Because and I literally I've had like 10 people from all over the world. There's a guy in Germany, a guy in Britain, a guy in Ireland messaging me how to help them not commit suicide. Because they're like, I was only on it for 3 months, and I noticed that I gained almost 100 pounds.
Holy
because
shit.
I could not wipe my ass without putting my leg on the toilet. That's how I know, because my love handles got big.
Wow.
And what happened is, like, here's what's crazy, because the way it rewires your brain, I was on 10 milligrams, then I got put up to 20, then I felt really, really weird, like it felt like it was humid all the time. It's a weird fucking comparison.
So you're always moist.
Yeah.
That's hot.
And it stank. Like, you know how you ever hear how like you smell like fish when you take L-carnitine for a pre-workout? That's what it felt like. So then I went down to 5. But here's the thing: so it was like going from 20 to 10 was fine. 10 to 5 was fine. 5 to 2 because you got to wean off.
Yeah.
Dude, when I went to 0, it was exactly what everybody wrote online. I was violently throwing up every 2 hours for the first 3 days. Just throwing up. Like, it was just like, I didn't even have anything in me. It was just like stomach acid. Ugh. And because I didn't want to like end up in the ER, I would force myself to just eat bread, like the hangover.
Yeah.
And then for the next 3 months, I was just uncontrollably crying every 4 hours, just for the next, like, for no reason. Like, there's nothing going on. So thank God it happened during lockdown, because I wouldn't be able to handle a job like doing that. And the only way that I like was able to recover that was like, I just pictured you know the movie Trainspotting.
Vaguely.
Yeah, it's about heroin and how, like, for him to get off of it, he just locked himself in his room.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did. I was like, I just made a schedule of like, okay, this day I'm going to watch all the Indiana Joneses. This day I'm going to watch all the Jurassic Parks.
Yep.
And that's what I told all these people that were emailing me. I'm like, dude, just like, I looked online. I'm like, how long does it completely take for your brain to get rewired to normal? Because your brain's a lot more placid and like repairing than we used to think. You know? And I just wrote this date. I'm like, in 3 months, whatever. Like right now, it's what is it? Fucking July 6th. I'm like, okay, so if I feel 1 star better, October 6th.
Yeah.
That means things are going well, and that's the only thing. That was the scariest fucking thing I ever fucking. But yeah, I ended up and in order to get off of it, I started taking Zoloft. And dude, Zoloft, I don't know how you feel about SSRIs, but it was a fucking game changer for me.
It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
but
I've heard mixed reviews. I knew a guy who like he was saying like he couldn't stop jagging off all the time. It's the weirdest.
Fucking okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish I had that side effect. I had a friend who could not fall asleep on SSRIs.
Dude, that's what happened to me on Zoloft. So the union shop I worked at, because you know how unions work. You work at different shops whenever they're busy. The shop I was working at, there was 3 different guys on Zoloft. One of the guys couldn't stop sleeping. We literally would have 2 15-minute breaks, and he would sleep for 15 minutes because he couldn't fucking fall. Like, he couldn't stop sleeping. The other guy, he was like this traumatized, like Marine type guy. He was like me. We couldn't sleep at all.
Jeez.
We couldn't fucking sleep because what they do with Zoloft is like, you know, they say like it builds up in your system, whatever.
Yeah.
So they start you at like, I think it's 25. Then you move up to 50, and then usually they either keep you on 50 or you can go up to 200.
Yeah.
Dude, when I was on 25, I was so happy. You know, I was saying like for 3 months I was crying every 4 hours.
Yeah.
I was so happy that stopped that I was like, dude, I'm just going to be on 25 until I can't handle it.
Yeah.
And I swear to fucking God, for the next... It was actually 2.5 months. I slept 3 hours a week. That's it was the weirdest thing ever too, because it was like, you know, for a normal person who isn't on any meds, if you don't get sleep, you're really moody at work.
Yeah.
Shit. It was weird as fuck. I would go to sleep for like a half hour, and then when I woke up, I felt like somebody just gave me a shot of espresso.
That's
like
wild.
It was wild, yeah.
Dude.
And I was like, I don't know what to do. I had to like talk my wife into wearing earplugs because I just kept watching shit. I kept binging shit. And then eventually 2.5 months, I could feel like things starting to get blurry.
Yeah.
My balance was off. And so 25 is the lowest dose you should be on.
Yeah.
Now I just crack it in half. And according to my doctor, I'm on a fucking placebo. But that's helped me because my biggest problem was like I came from a fucked up family. So I just got that, how you were saying, like just obsessive fucked up thoughts.
Yeah.
You know?
They're just in there.
Yeah. You just like, whatever the fuck, like, I remember doing a set before and I would go home and I'd be like, what the fuck was that person saying? What were they thinking? Did they laugh at me or did they laugh with, like, were they laughing at me or with me? Do they think I'm actually funny or am I like a joke or am I like a scapegoat? You know?
Yeah.
Like, am I the Donnie in Big Lebowski? You know?
Yeah.
Like, it was, so I think that helped me level it out. But, you know, I wanted to talk, like, one thing I wanted to ask you, do you have any like crazy fucking like warrior story in jiu-jitsu? Like any fucking crazy fights you've been in?
Fights
like if you
like competition wise.
Yeah, and any kind, like anything jiu-jitsu related that like is that happening that was wild.
Oh my! So my first tournament that I did, no, actually second tournament, but it doesn't matter. I made this dude with a wife and kids have a seizure on the mat.
Fuck, that's hilarious, man.
Dude, I felt so bad because I Ezekiel choked him, which is like I put my wrist and forearm into his throat.
Yeah.
And then he just starts spasming.
Is that where you use the gi?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, so you use your own sleeve,
it's
essentially.
like a scissor, right?
Yeah, and you like move it in, but he didn't tap in time, and I didn't know what's going on, and then he just starts shaking. And I like look up and I see his wife and his kid just standing there being like, and I'm like, holy shit.
That reminds me of like when I watched this video about like that iconic fight with Mankind and Undertaker. You know what I'm talking about, or no?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, in WWF, there's the craziest fight ever in history. It's still to this day. Like, Mankind was like, I want to fucking make my stamp in like wrestling history, and it's still the most brutal match because it was a cage match, and so the whole time that they're doing this, Mankind's wife and kid are watching Mankind, Mick Foley, keep telling Undertaker to keep going, and they're just crying their fucking eyes out because first he climbs on the cage, and then he gets thrown off this cage. It's like 20 feet into the air onto the announcer's thing, dislocates his shoulder, and then the paramedics come in. He's like, no, man, keep fucking going, keep going. Then they get in the ring. I might be getting two fights mixed up, and then he you know when they try to choke him with the ropes, they put the ropes like around. Yeah. He does that, and he's realizing he's losing air, and when he tries to get out at like the last moment, he realizes like he can't because underneath those ropes it's stainless steel wire.
Yeah.
So when he yanks, he completely ripped his ear off.
Oh shit.
And then they're crying, and he's like, keep it going. So then they climb up again on the fucking cage, and this time the Undertaker's like, yo, dude, this is the last fucking thing we're doing. So he choke slams him on the cage thinking he's going to hold up. He goes through the cage, and when he lands, he hit the fucking floor so hard that a folding chair that was in the ring bounced up. So when he bounced up, he hit his face against the folding chair.
Jesus.
And at the end of the fight, there's like an iconic picture where he's like smiling in the camera with all his blood.
Ugh.
And it looks like he's got a booger coming out of his nose. Bro, when I said he bounced off the chair?
Yeah.
His canine tooth went up into his skull and tore through his lip.
Oh.
So that's his tooth going into his nose.
That's
like
fucking terrible.
Yeah,
dude. Woof.
So that's what that reminded me of when you're saying like the whole them screaming.
Yeah.
Was that the craziest thing?
I mean, so I when I competed, I did a lot of my best submission was straight ankle lock, and so I've probably broken like 5 or 6 people's ankles.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I when I did compete, I had something like a 95% submission rate.
Oh,
like,
nice.
I think I was like 22-3, and like very rarely was it getting to the end because I was either gonna gas out at like minute 2 or I was gonna choke the shit out of someone. So like I remember my first Worlds, the first match I was in, I straight ankled this guy. So I had him by the ankle and he didn't want to tap, and I turned it so like when you do it, you turn belly down, and it makes it way worse. And I did it, and I could hear all of the like ligaments in his like Achilles start to pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like one of those like, ooh, he's gonna feel that.
Yeah.
There was one in 2019, right before the pandemic, where I did a straight ankle lock on this guy, and I went to go belly down, but he turned the wrong way, so it like puts a lot of pressure in, like ACL pressure on the knee, and I could hear his knee pop as his ankle was also popping.
Yeah.
And I'm like 90% sure he tore his ACL.
Oh fuck, dude. Is that the one where you just lean back, right?
Yeah.
The forearm underneath the Achilles? Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you really want to fuck him up, you turn over and like go on your stomach with it.
Is that just a regular ankle lock?
Yeah. That's like the most basic one.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was quite a few of those. But what else? I mean, I remember when I was, this isn't in competition, but I had this kid, he was new, and I was a competition blue belt at the time, and he was.
What did you retire with? Was it blue?
I mean, I still like competing wise. I haven't competed since blue, but I'm a brown belt right now.
Okay, that's right below black, right?
Yeah. I've been doing it for around 7 years.
Yeah, that's why I told you how shady my gym was.
Yeah,
and that's why I was like, I mean, I'm technically a white belt.
Yeah,
but if I fucking paid into their scam, I probably should at least have a few stripes or something, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're just going to the wrong places, my friend. That is absolutely not how things work in a decent gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so this kid, he was like, how many times do you think you could submit me in 5 minutes? I'm like, I don't know, let's find out. I tapped him 26 times in 5 minutes. And just, I want to say afterwards he threw up.
my first, so I think that's how I got on the whole medication rant, was that I was just looking for anything that would help this pain of grieving of all this death in my family. And one day I'm on Facebook, and it was literally, there's this guy at that gym. He was like one of the guys that wasn't shady that I liked. He looked like a 70s villain. You know, like somebody that would, like Bruce Lee would destroy. You know,
so ethnic.
well, he was white. He had like this white, like 70s. He looked like a pedophile almost. You know, his name was Killer Mike, and like this guy, I just saw his ad. He's like, do you? He had one of those, like, what's that fucking guy's name in Napoleon Dynamite? The Rex Kwon Do. You know?
Oh yeah.
He's like, do you want to change your life around? Do you want to lose weight? I saw it and I was like, yeah, and that's how I got into it. And you know, they asked me right away. The funny thing is, like, a lot of people get into jiu-jitsu because they're huge Rogan fans, or they love UFC. Yeah. And I'm there, and I'm like, dude, I'm seriously here just for mental health.
Yeah.
And probably losing weight because of that fucking Zyprexa shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. They have this thing. They're like, all right. You like, here's the other scammy thing. They're like, they say, oh, you get 3 months free, but really what it is you pay for the first 3 months, and if you can pass, if you can pass the challenge, then we give you a 3 months credit. So, so the agreement was they're like, so you have to do this challenge of, like, you get 3 months free if you go at least 3 times a week. And you can either get the 3 months free by either going 3 times a week or by losing 20 pounds, because they were like guaranteeing it. I'm like, bitch, I'm telling you, these meds fucked me up so much. I guarantee you I'm not going to lose 1 pound. And I actually gained pounds from strength. So they couldn't get off of that. But
yeah,
I went 3 times a week, and I just I don't know. This place was weird as fuck. Like, I was telling you, like, they immediately wanted to convert me to Islam. And I was just like, I'm so humble and open-minded. I'm like, oh, is this what they do at all? BJJ? Like, you know? I still have the Quran they gave me. Like,
that's so weird.
And like the next day I came there, and they were very pro-Islam, which, dude, I hate all religions equally. But it was just like, it was so weird because it was like on Fridays, one of the guys' dad owned a restaurant where they would all go to, and it was all like very authentic Islamic food. And I went with them, you know, and then, which I like doing that. But then they were like, when they gave me that, they're like, what do you think? What do you think? And I'm like, dude, this is the same shit as the Old Testament. It's just run-on sentence after run-on. He is great. He is awesome. He is the way. He is awesome. Like, you know, like, there's nothing. You know, I'm in Taoism. I leveled up, bro.
Yeah.
So,
well, there is a large contingent of so I remember back when I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do for it. So I moved to Europe for about 6 months and I came back.
Oh, wow. Where'd you go? Where'd you move to?
So I started in Spain. I was in a program to teach English to Spanish people, and then I realized that I just kind of wanted to be like a dirtbag in hostels across Europe and just like travel and see whatever. So I wound up going to like 17 different countries and just kind of like hip hopping around.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But then I came back and I was like, all I knew was that I wanted to do jiu-jitsu. And I knew that it paid $0 to do jiu-jitsu. So I was like, I gotta get a job.
And it's expensive to do.
Yeah,
That's the part that sucks. Like,
yeah. Well, like
I was used to like $10 a month Planet Fitness. Or fucking $20 LA Fitness, you know?
Yeah.
Not 150 to 200, you know?
I was running at the time. I was like running classes and like I wasn't cleaning up the gym, but I know a lot of guys did. But so like I was like looking at different options of like ways to like not do a corporate job so I could train more. And my coach was telling me about how you could sign up for this program where they would all expense paid send you to Abu Dhabi. And if you're a brown belt, they'd give you 40 grand. And this is in like 2018, give you 40 grand and pay for all of your food and housing, just to teach kids jiu-jitsu. And if you're a black belt, it would be 80 grand.
Fuck, that's awesome.
Yeah. All you have to do is teach jiu-jitsu for a year. And I was like strongly considering it before I wound up getting a corporate job because I was like,
Yeah.
So there's a I think one of the crown princes is big into the jits game.
Nice, man.
So maybe that's where that came from.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing that made me laugh was like the gym I was at, there was a lot of girls too.
Yeah.
And they had the hijabs. And I was like, dude, are you allowed to use that for an Ezekiel chart? But yeah, no, it was, I told you, it was weird as fuck. The master fucking legally changed his name 4 times. And I remember, so this is so Polish of me. Because we're known to be the gypsy scammers, you know, like, so like I wanted to do jujitsu there, because it was the closest one, but I was like, I can't afford it, so I'm like, dude, I got to come up with some Polish immigrant scheme to be able to get these classes. And you know what I did was, I was gonna actually, go to high school. I was like. Well, you know, and it wasn't 100% scam intentions, but it was like, especially all the tragedy that I went through, I wanted to go and do speeches at like to help people cope with shit.
Sure.
And the first thing, like this was before comedy, so like actually I was like, if I can get my stage fright over by speaking at these places, maybe I can do comedy then.
Yeah.
And I started off with NAMI, which is National Association of Mental Illness, dude.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit. There's so many fucking gatekeepers. Like long story short, I was there telling them how jiu-jitsu helped me, how hypnosis helped me. You know what EMDR is?
Yeah.
And they're like, no. We want you to tell them that only we can help them medication related. I'm like, no, dude, you guys want to drug these fucking people, you know? I mean, there's so many fucking crazy people I've met in that associate. I mean, there was, like I said, there was the one lady who, she's like 80. She doesn't know that all these SoundCloud rappers are dying off of Xanax. They had her on the highest dose, and she doesn't want to leave underneath a blanket because she has such bad agoraphobia.
Jesus.
Then there was another guy who he was in the because I was in the suicide prevention program, the outpatient program.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's like what is it called? Like it's like a AA meetings almost, you know?
Oh, group therapy.
Yeah, group
talk.
therapy. And he would sit like real tense, like clenching his teeth with his hands in his pocket. And I mean, I watch too much TV. I thought he was like a chronic masturbator.
Oh hell yeah!
Like fucking in Sons of Anarchy.
That'd be dope.
And I asked him, I was like, so what did they put you on? And he's or like, what's your deal? He's like, oh, I have this blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, they're thinking of putting me on Ambien. And then he took his hands out and he goes, you see that? That's Ambien. It's like he got permanent tremors,
Yikes.
So anyway, so I stopped doing NAMI and I was like, dude, what would be great is if I went around high schools and just did like anti-bullying talks, and on the side just push the jiu-jitsu gym. Just be like, hey, you know what? If you want to fucking, stand up for yourself, here's a card,
Yeah.
And they said like every fucking sale I'd make, I'd get like another 10% off. So if I get fucking like 10 kids, I can go to jiu-jitsu for free for a year.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, no high school wanted any talks. They didn't give two shit. Like, it was fucking weird as hell. But yeah, the craziest things that like the three crazy moments I had in that gym was, the first one was I went up against like a real, I mean, there's that inside joke that wrestlers have the hugest fucking ego when they go into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I was going up against this guy who was like 5 inches taller than me. I'm 6'1", so this guy's like 6'7". He was a state champ for his high school wrestler. He just got out. And I'm just like, oh, hey, man, so you know how to, like, you got to tap and all that shit. And he's like, I don't tap for anyone. I'm like, okay, man. And he was the first person I tapped doing an arm bar because I'm too big to, like, maneuver that quickly. But it was two giants going against each other. He was as big as me. So he quit. I made him quit.
Nice.
And then the other one, I've had different reactions to this, and I want to know what you think. Like, do you know what an anaconda choke is? Mm-hmm. I had people tell me that that's like an illegal move. Is that an illegal move?
No.
Yeah, that's like you put your forearm underneath the back of his neck, and you're basically like in back of him, and you're choking him this way, right?
Oh, that's not an anaconda.
What is that?
That's a reverse guillotine.
Okay.
It's a
where you have your forearm on the back of his neck and you're choking him up, and then you just lean back. Like if I had a person right here and his head's right here facing up.
It's not illegal. It's not nice.
Yeah, dude, because somebody told me, they're like, that's a neck crank. Those are cranks. You can't do crank. I'm like, no, cranks are almost like strikes, right? Where you do it too fast. I'm like, dude, I wasn't doing that. I was slowly breaking his neck. But yeah, I made a guy quit because I did that. And then the only claim to fame I have is I went up against a guy. This guy's a fucking miracle story. He's not like famous or anything, but this guy Vitaly, he's actually, that guy Daryl we ran into outside Left.
Yeah.
He was talking about how Seraphin is amazing.
Yeah.
My buddy Vitaly teaches there.
Oh, nice.
And Vitaly's a fucking like miracle story. I mean, he came to the U.S. from Ukraine.
Please tell me it's not. He's a quadriplegic. I beat a quadriplegic.
Yeah. No, he that would be kind of fun to see some quadriplegic jiu-jitsu. Just like
that's just all mouth.
But no, he came here from Ukraine when he was 12. And just got bullied so much for not being able to speak English that he joined this gym, and he's a brown belt now. But I remember seeing a video of him, and that gym always did NAGA, and there's a video. You know how they judge you at those tournaments where it's like who gets full guard first, who does the takedown first, who does submission, all those points, right? He got like all 3 points in one move. There's just a video where they're on their feet and it's no-gi, and he's just like, this guy keeps like trying to flinch at him. So he does the whole like Conor McGregor thing where he's just like, dude, are we going to start this or what?
Yeah.
And then when the guy flinches again, he does a cartwheel, chokes him in midair with his legs, slams him down, and then chokes him out, like just right away. So it was just like pass, submission,
pass straight
takedown,
to a submission. Yeah,
like it was wild. And he actually, I guess, rolled with Gordon Ryan when he came to their gym.
Oh, nice.
And that's the only name I know because that's the most popular name. But yeah. Anyways, man, I think we got to wrap it up, right? We're going a little. You feel like wrapping up?
Sure.
Whatever you want to. I didn't know what else you wanted to. I mean, whenever you. I could even edit this out because we could just keep going if you want to. I just wanted to see what I was gonna ask, like what. So what else? What are your goals in Did it like you stopped doing jiu-jitsu because like the whole injury thing, and then you got into comedy? What have your influences when you started changed now?
Yeah, I mean, I never expected to be that good at this, and then I just kept going and got pretty obsessive pretty quick. And I realized that there's so many people that talk about like, oh, like, the chances of getting being an actual paid comedian that can like feed their family is like nothing. It's like, well, it is for you. Like, because you don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't work hard at it. Like, I just feel my goal is to like continue to get better and just take everything one step at a time and like not overlook any detail. Like, I obsessively study, I obsessively watch stand-up, like, you could ask Rachel, my fiance, and she'd be like, yeah, he never shuts the fuck up about it. Like, I'm constantly testing jokes, I'm constantly working on stuff, and like I want to go on tour soon, not as a main but as a feature, and eventually get to the point where I'm doing like full hours.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's too far away necessarily, because especially at 33 I'm like, gotta fucking get a move on.
Yeah.
Started late to this game, so that's kind of been my goal, once I realized that it was something that I think I thought I could really do and get a good grasp on, but it's just fucking, it's fun. It's comedy.
It is fun, dude. Oh my God.
Do you have a one-liner that you tell people when they're like, tell me a joke? You're a comedian.
Do I have dude, so this is actually, it's funny that you bring that up because I got I ruffled a little bit of feathers of my friends that I started with because I fucking hate one-liners. I always tell people I kind of like 3-liners at the very least.
Yeah.
Because like even my wife, she loves like Mitch Hedberg and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't stand that shit. Like I can respect it. I can like, it's almost like jiu-jitsu. It's like whatever, maybe like strictly Muay Thai.
Yeah.
You maybe like jiu-jitsu. This person likes gi. You like no gi. I respect it, but it's not my thing. You know? And I know and that's why in my I just released a music video, a rap music video, and in there I go the Chief Keef line where he's like, that's that shit I don't like. I go one-liners, that's that shit that's on site.
Mm-hmm.
But no, when people ask, what's funny is that did happen to me recently at Easter dinner. My wife's aunt, everybody fucking hates her. They hate her so. She has like, I'm not political. She actually has like Trump derangement syndrome, where it's like I could see why people could hate him. I could see why people could like him. I just don't care. She's the person. Okay, we're here. We're playing Uno. We're talking about what the fuck we did this weekend.
Yeah,
you got to bring in Trump somehow.
Oh yeah.
She's like 60 years old, and she goes to the fucking Renaissance Fair every year and wants to be called Milady and all that. Like it's so stupid. But so she asked me, she goes, "Oh, you do comedy? Tell me some of your jokes." And so the one-liners I had was I just go, what did I say? So there was one that was a play on a local comedian. Have you ever ran into TJ Remick?
I don't know.
He's really nice. He's really funny, and he has a joke that went where he would just go up there and he'd go like, "Shark Week, Shark Week, Shark not weak, Shark strong," whatever. And
Yeah.
and off of that, because I wanted to make him like, I kind of did a joke on it where I go, "Black Lives Matter." Black Lives Matter. Do Black Lives Matter? Black Lives not matter. Black Lives happier. And when Black Lives happier, White Lives Matter.
I was wondering where that was going.
and then I kind of like sometimes I end it off and I go, and that's the only way I can say that on stage. You know, like if it transitions into that and then like I had these other stupid ones where like, hey, you know, ever since Magic Johnson got AIDS, my life's goal was to be a magician named AIDS Johnson. But with a name like that, I made a lot of people disappear. You know, just stupid shit. Or there's, do you know the whole Brown's Chicken murderer in Illinois? There was like a shooting in the 80s in Brown's Chicken and Pasta. And I go, I'm just like, hey, it was fucking weird for me to, as a stand-up, to go to a sit-down restaurant like Brown's Chicken, but I can tell you in the 80s I definitely murdered. Like, it's just that's the thing. I never do like those type of one-liners just because I do what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that when you were talking about earlier, like you got to know whose advice you take,
Yeah.
I had so many people in the beginning tell me, start off with the one-liners. You evolve into stories that are sprinkled with liners,
Yeah.
And I could see the point of both, but I don't know. Is there a reason do you have a one-liner?
No, because I have a certain style on stage. I'll just I defect to like either saying no or I'm like there's one. It's not even. I don't even think it's my. It's one that I heard that I always think is funny just to fucking say to people is like I'd rather die at peace in my sleep like my aunt than screaming and trying to wake her in the passenger seat like my uncle.
Yeah.
Like it's just dumb shit like that because like I never know what to. It feels like awkward. You get that shit all the time
when people put you on the spot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like asking a fucking musician, like, "Yo, can you play a song right now for me?"
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to think of. And there was one other one-liner where I go, "Hey guys, I don't want to be racist, but I can't fucking stand macadamians. They're salty. They never come out of their shell, and they don't pay their fucking taxes. They're nuts."
Yeah, nice.
Stupid. Like, and I did that. I can't believe that there's two places that were the whitest places where I did that joke, and they got upset because they thought macadamians are an actual race.
Nice.
Like that went over their head.
Woof.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't. I think I mentioned this before on the podcast, but the weirdest experience I had, like as far as comedy, was like the day my mom died, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I do comedy normally. I'm just gonna roast her to death. Like I gotta go. I gotta go do a mic.
Jeez.
And I went to go do a mic, and you know who Jess Misitano is?
Sounds familiar.
She's like probably one of my top 3 favorite comics in Chicago. She moved out to Austin now, but she's like the fucking, if you mix like Peggy from Married with Children and Lisa Lampanelli, like
hell yeah.
And I didn't know who she was at the time, and I was at that Jerks mic, and I was just roasting the fuck out of my mom, and then she goes up next, and she's like, "What the fuck is with this guy and his ma?" She did a number on him, and then she starts doing a bit about like how stupid those crosses on the side of the road are, like the people in car accidents. She's like, maybe it's this guy's stupid fucking mom, and dude, so my mom had ALS.
Yeah.
Right after I got off stage, because Jerks is kind of a dive bar.
Yeah.
It's got like that jazzy feel where there's almost no light, and if there is, it's red.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there was a guy. So normally there's like 2 sofas and then like little like chairs like these, like recliners. I couldn't see that there was a guy in a wheelchair who his ma got ALS and he was about to get it. He fucking, while she's roasting me, I'm trying to like yell back as like, you know, comedian jokes, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he rolls up to me, grabs me by the shirt, and he's like, I know exactly what you're going through, son. And then clutches onto me and starts crying onto my shirt. And I'm like, dude, I just drove home that night. Like, normally I drive and I'm just like redoing my set, the parts that I fucked up. And I couldn't even put music. I'm like, what the fuck? I could still feel the dude's tears on my chest, you know. And I won't get his face out of my head because he looked just like the new Penguin in the new Batman, you know, with the scar on the side. Like, you look just like him. But yeah, man, I can't stand when people do that shit where they're like, yeah, tell a fucking. Oh, so I told those one-liners to this fucking ridiculous, you know, Trump hater cat lady aunt, and she's just like, those aren't even funny. They're nefarious. Which is the most like white lady thing to say. That's like, I had a bit about how like each month there's like a new white people word they like to do, you know, nefarious, problematic, you know. And I'm just like, well, I'm happy because I would not want you as a fan. I'm just like, knowing you, I don't want you as a, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know. The other thing I want to bring was it's kind of goofy because I went on a rant on Facebook. I wrote like and it's so funny because I have like a few comedians who like, you know, you got those few close guys that are ride or die for, you know, and I posted on there and I go, man, you know, guys, just a tip for anybody, telling a comedian that they're not funny is not going to affect them. Like, it doesn't do shit. Do you know how many roasts we do? Do you know how many people don't like my comedy? It's the shittiest comeback. It's like calling someone a poo-poo head, you know? And my friend messaged me. He's like, dude, are you doing okay? Because he thought like maybe I had a bad bomb and I'm like going through some shit. I'm like, no, I'm being serious. Because I guess what happened was like, I think I might have said this on another podcast, but like I was in this metal group. And this is so fucking wild. So this is like a niche thing. But you know what black metal is? It's like really satanic metal.
Okay.
And they're like really serious about it. Like they still do sacrifices and rob graves and shit.
Nice.
And the biggest places that it's popular are like Poland, because Poland is super fucking Catholic. Like you can still get charged with blasphemy. There's a black metal band called Gorgoroth, and they purposely did their DVD there to piss them off because they had girls like, I don't think they were actually crucified, but they were covered in like animal blood, naked on stage, and they were going to release it 2006. They couldn't release it till 2012 because they were in the courts for blasphemy, and they're banned from Poland.
Nice.
The other country that's nuts about it is Brazil. So in this group, this guy posted this band from Brazil where they dug up this corpse and they put it on the album cover. And I just wrote on there, I'm just like, oh, man, like, I guess I don't think Joe Biden looks that bad. You know, he's doing, because he was wearing everything Joe Biden. And this metalhead went totally into politics. Like, just went on a rant about like thinking, oh, what are you pro? I'm like, dude, I'm not anything. I just like, it actually looks like Joe Biden, you know? And he just kept saying, you're not funny. You're not funny. You're not. And I just destroyed this. I felt bad at the end. It was kind of how you mentioned like in jiu-jitsu where you felt bad giving this guy a seizure. Like, I destroyed this guy and he wasn't going anywhere. He just kept saying, you're not funny. You're not funny. I'm like, dude, like, but one thing I wanted to tell you that I remembered in jiu-jitsu that made me laugh my ass off was like, because I was going for mental health.
Yeah.
I didn't give two shits about technique. I didn't give it, and it kind of got the guys who are serious pissed off, Because I was kind of there like, oh, I had a stressful day at work. Who am I going to choke out, you know? And they're like, no, you're supposed to do this move like this. I'm like, I don't even, like I was asking you, is that in Ezekiel? I don't even, the only names of moves that I know are guillotine, Kimura, Americana, Anaconda. I didn't even know it was called Ezekiel. They called it a scissor choke, where I was like, and that's it, because I didn't pay attention, you know? So one of the things that makes me laugh when I think about it, I went up against this guy. That's the other reason why. So why I quit was nobody wanted to roll with me. I was the heaviest dude at that gym. And there was a guy, we used to call him a cocaine squirrel, because he was like 5 feet tall, really skinny Mexican Ecuadorian dude. And the first thing they taught me when I got into, they're like, don't be a jack of all trades. Pick 3 favorite moves and get amazing at those 3 moves. It's almost like comedy. Like, make 3 solid bits and do them, you know? And this guy ended up doing the most popular one, the rear naked choke. And I didn't know how to block it. So we would spar for 2 minutes. Not like you said, you like submissed him. You said you submitted him 20 times in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This guy submitted me, I think like 10 times in 2 minutes. And like I'm 260 and he's like 160, if that. And all because I didn't know how to block the rear naked like that. And he choked me so much that I didn't know this was possible. My Adam's apple swelled up. So for like 2 weeks, I was talking like I'm part of the Lollipop Guild.
Hell yeah.
And I kept that. I'm like, dude, like, I don't want to talk around my wife because I'm embarrassed. Like, I'm going to like orgasm like this. And so I just kept swallowing ice cubes. But anyways. And then I remember one time they got mad because he got on me. I blocked him. And then for the rest of the 2 minutes, I just did 20 laps with him just latched on me like a tick. Because he wouldn't get off me. But anyways, man. It's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Awesome meeting you, dude. Like, keep it going. Like, is there anything you want to plug? You just got a new Insta, right?
Yep. Nick Emeka Comedy.
Nick Emeka Comedy. And, yeah, you're on Facebook as well. You got any big... You got the...
I got Blue Whale coming up August 22nd to the 24th. I'm doing the Motor City Comedy Festival September 18th to the 22nd. And, I think those are the big ones.
Fucking nice, dude. Well, thanks for getting wild, bro.
Hell yeah.
Os, right?
Os, yeah.